So the Levels Mismatch Report is a bit of a data magnum opus, and it really solves and groups multiple problems into one data flow. So in the previous video of the constraint analysis, we talked about how some elements have multiple and varying references. So for example, these specialty equipment sometimes use a host, sometimes use a level, sometimes use a schedule level, sometimes use a work plane, and not in the same quantity. So they have some of these references in here, but not all of them. What we're doing in the levels mismatch is many things. The first thing is we're saying, what the heck is your primary reference? And we can start seeing a lot of this in the instance level references. Here we are gathering for every element, whether it has a base level, whether it's a host, whether it has a level, whether it has a reference level or a schedule level. And then we are determining which one of these should be primary. So what we're doing with the primary when we're detecting what's the primary reference is we're saying schedule level is first, because that's you telling Revit which level it should be on. Then we are going to the regular level. Then we are going to the reference, the base, and the host. I think that's roughly the order of things. And with that kind of merge, with that kind of prioritization, we determine a primary level, which is used to kind of eliminate as much as possible things that are not on a level. So we still have about 1,000 things that are not really detected as being on a level. But if we look at our previous constraint analysis, our numbers before were like 39,000, 90,000, 103,000, and so forth. So we're really making that number a lot smaller in the models. Actually, it's still roughly 4,000 elements that are not being detected as having a primary level after all of this transformation, but it's much smaller than 30 or 60,000. Okay, that's the first thing we're doing. Then we are saying, we've determined you're on level 1. What's the level above level 1? It should probably be level 2, right? It shouldn't be level 1 mezzanine or level 1 underside of sill or something like that. So the way we're doing that is in Revit, when you select a level, you have the option of saying explicitly which is the level above. So that's the priority. If not, we are looking for the next building level above level 1. So that should be level 2. Now we say you're on level 1, and we know that the level above is level 2. So the next thing we say for this geometric analysis is, well, we know the top and the bottom of your Z height, geometric Z height. Is it within the Z height of the levels? Are you actually on level 1, or are you on level 10, or are you on, in the basement or something like that? So what we're seeing here are things that are actually fully within their levels. Then there are things that are within their levels but cross above. Then there's things that are within their levels and cross below. Then there's things that are fully crossing. They're going above and below the level. There's things that are fully above the level they're supposed to be on, things that are fully below the level they're supposed to be on. And actually, this is normal, right? Structural elements, floors are going to be below their level because they're supporting the level. Then we also detect a few things that don't have geometry. So if you didn't know, generic ceilings have a thickness of 0. So please do not ever use generic ceilings. They are geometrically impossible, and you're going to have a hard time buying a 0 thickness ceiling. And then finally, we have some elements with missing or no geometric data. So this is kind of everything that's going on within the levels mismatch report, and it allows you to really quickly determine if something is not on the proper level. And if you start using the section tool, it's kind of a fun exercise to just kind of look at this and see visually all of the problems that may be in there. So things that are perhaps, hosted on the level above and have been copy pasted around. Generally, as you can imagine, the red elements are problematic and so forth. So this is what's happening in the levels mismatch report. It is right now in the experimental template. It kind of takes a long time to calculate all of this. So we're moving those calculations from Power Query to the database so that it's a lot faster. And so if you can't find it in the current report, that's because you have a more simplified report. You can reach out to us to get the experimental report. And like I said, in the long term, this is just going to be baked in so it doesn't slow down the loading of the data because it'll be pre-calculated in the database side of things. So that's it for the Levels Mismatch Report. I hope this was helpful. I'll talk to you soon. Cheers.